I wish there were palm trees on 495. I wish there were palm trees.
All right, here we are. Welcome to another episode of the 495. This is Mike White of Greater Long Island Media Group.
And I'm Nick Esposito, also from Greater Long Island Media Group.
And today we're here with Jordan Gowins, lifelong Bellport resident.
Yes,
right?
yes, born
and Henry Francois, who grew up at Seaford, and now you're in Medford.
Correct.
Also a fan of GreaterPatchogue.com when here.
Big fan.
Awesome. That's great.
It's awesome. We were excited to do this podcast and follow Jordan Gowins' journey. As some people may know, I was covering Stony Brook's football season this past year, and I got a good chance to watch all the home games that Jordan played in, and it was a spectacular season. Rushed for nearly 1,000 yards, second-team All-American. You and your running back partner there, Donnie Leontine, you guys were the 1-2 punch in all of FCS football.
Yeah.
There was a great run that you guys had where both of you guys rushed for 100 yards each for like 3 or 4 games, which is incredible.
Is that when you earned the Long Island Express?
Yeah, and then you guys were dubbed the Long Island Express.
Yeah.
So Jordan, thank you very much for joining us.
I appreciate you for having me.
So Jordan, you grew up in, well, how do you guys know each other? Explain the relationship here.
I actually met Henry through a common friend. My friend Tyrell, who we both who I grew up with, and Henry as a friend, and we kind of just started all hanging out together. And now we become real close friends.
And was that in high school or middle school?
It was actually
recently
within like the past one and a half years.
Nice. You guys hit it off.
Yeah.
Awesome. And now, Henry, what do you do for a living, and what do you do with Jordan?
I do freelance photography and social media coordination. And with Jordan, I mean, I would have done this anyway because he's my friend, but pretty much try to fine-tune the things that we put out there as far as social media, presentation, and whatnot. And
Cultivate his image.
cultivate the image, help him with the day-to-day, and, try to get him where he needs to be.
All right. Now, before we get into your life story, Jordan, there's a big day tomorrow, right?
Yeah, pro day tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. So people that don't know what a pro day is or what goes into a pro day, can you go into a little bit about it?
It's similar to an NFL combine. Only difference is, it's narrowed down to the people who attend or played football at the school. So it's 9 of us tomorrow.
At Stony Brook, right?
We'll run our 40-yard dash. We'll do our bench press in front of, from anywhere from probably 20 to 30, all 32 scouts, from each team. So it's basically the biggest interview of your life if you're looking to, play football at the next level.
How you feeling? You feeling loose?
Yeah, I feel great.
All right,
it was a good 2 months of training. Honestly, I was ready 2-3 weeks ago. So I've just been fine tuning for the past back end of the training. So I'm real confident.
And the best prep you can get is be on the 495 podcast right before you get on.
Yeah, exactly.
Get you nice loose.
Yep.
The mailman.
He's our steady.
Mr. McFeely.
How are you doing?
Enjoy the rest of your day.
So the mailman joins us once in a while during our podcast to say what's up.
Mr. Rogers, like a special guest arrives.
It's a little extra for you this NFL Pro Day because you're going to be doing some little special, raising some money for Stony Brook University Hospital. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Honestly, this is something that really means a lot to me because, I had a near-death incident when I was 10 years old. I was, pretty much pronounced dead.
Wow.
I was underwater for about 4.5 minutes, I think they said. I don't really recall anything from the incident. It kind of messed with my memory a little bit. But I just remember being in the hospital for about a month. In ICU. I had to learn how to walk, talk, write all over again.
And that was at 10 years old?
10 years old. Yeah, so, I had 10 years of life under my belt, and then it just kind of got stripped from me. But
if you don't mind us asking, what happened, what led up to the incident? And
I was
what do you remember?
I was at a friend's house, that I grew up playing PAL football with. And I had dove into the deep end of a pool. And I knew how to swim. It wasn't like a fall into the pool type of thing. Wasn't that? Either on impact or I must have hit my head, something of that sort that had to knock me unconscious. For me to not be able to swim back to the top. Because I recall touching the bottom of the pool. I don't, and then after that it's kind of just a blur.
Is anyone noticing? Yeah.
It was kind of like an after practice type of thing, if I recall correctly. You know, and my friend, the pool was not at his house; it was at his grandparents' house, and they were right across the street from each other. So when I had jumped in the pool, I think they had crossed the street to go do whatever. So I ended up being over there by myself.
Oh, wow.
You know, them not expecting anything crazy to happen. You know, and that's why I ended up being under the water for so long without anybody knowing. You know, so I ended up getting airlifted from the scene of where it happened. I was in a coma for a little bit. You know, I had so much water built up in my lungs, and so they had to work on pumping all that out. But like I said, I don't remember much, but it just means a lot to me because I know what these kids are going through. I went through it. You know, some of these kids can't. Some of their families can't afford these bills that they have. You know, so it's big for me to be able to give back with use the talent that I've been given. You know, to give back to these kids and their families.
How long did it take you? I'm sorry, Nick. How long did it take you to recover your motor skills after that?
I wasn't even supposed to be able to be walking again, let alone playing football, let alone playing football again. You know, so I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed. But I want to say about like a year till I was like fully like moving around again. You know, I came home in a wheelchair, so I wasn't. You know, even when I came home, I wasn't moving around like a normal kid. It took me a little while. It was rough. Even after the hospital, it was kind of rough because I had to adjust, and I didn't know if things were going to be the same again. Yeah. So. And
at that age, were you big into sports, organized sports?
Yeah. I mean, my brother played football. You know, so I grew up watching him. You know, I was a huge fan. It's actually, I think I had the newspaper article still saved on my phone. The night that it happened, my brother was playing in a football game. I think it was the Long Island and New York City All-Star game that he was playing in. You know, and he got the news middle of the game. My family was there. I was at a friend's house, kind of babysit type of thing, but I was hanging out with my friends. So, and my mom and dad were at the game watching my brother while this was all happening. And they're getting the phone call while they're at my brother's game.
Where is that, Hofstra or something?
It was at Hofstra, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Now, and that was a big part of your life as a 10-year-old athletics, and now you can't, forget day to day. Even your hobbies were kind of stripped away from you at the same time.
Exactly. So, that's why I appreciate, everything so much right now. And everything that I do, I try to give back in some way, because I'm very fortunate. And there aren't many people that are going to be as fortunate as, I was able to be. Not many people bounce back from, are able to bounce back from, what I had to endure. And I'm a God-fearing man, so, I believe that has something to do with it.
And then being under the water for so long, do you know the chances that you were given, your probability of surviving that?
Honestly, they were asking my mom whether, she wanted to let it go or not.
Wow. That's got to that point.
That's how slim the chances were. Because honestly, if you look around in the world and you see these incidences where these kids are drowning in a pool, it's happening in 1 to 2 minutes. They don't even get to 4 minutes. So. Like I said, I'm very fortunate.
So let's circle back a little bit. So what are you actually going to be doing to raising money for Stony Brook Hospital?
So on the Pledge It page, it's through the organization Pledge It. It's a sports based pledge page. So you can donate per rep. Like it's all set up for people to donate per rep. So
during your bench press, obviously.
Exactly. So people have already donated because you can donate a flat rate as well. But people will be able to donate after my bench press when the numbers are put up. Donate per rep, like $1 per rep or $2 per rep, and all the money is going to go to Stony Brook Children's Hospital.
So that's just going to give you that extra drive to get 30, 40 reps, right? Yeah. How many reps are you getting, Jordan?
The NFL goal for a running back is 34. So,
okay.
I'm going for 35 or better.
All right, there we go.
Now, when this podcast airs. Will the link still be live for people to donate?
Yes, the link will be live for about a week after Pro Day. So they'll have some time.
How can they get to it?
The link is actually on all my social media handles. I can leave it with you guys before we finish.
Say it right now.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
No, say your social media handles. Where can people find you?
It's J Gowins 23. That's my Instagram handle, and the Pledge It page is in my bio.
Awesome. Now
let's talk about some football.
Yeah.
Your high school career. So you grew up in Bellport. You ended up going to St. Anthony's.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about that.
I grew up in Bellport. All my life, I thought I was gonna be a Bellport high school player. I was at the games at a young age, watching all the games, watching my brothers play,
Wearing your
watching my brother
brothers'
play.
away jerseys when they were home.
Exactly. But then, I kind of got thrown a curveball where I was given an opportunity to go to St. Anthony's, which was an opportunity that I felt I really couldn't pass up because of the opportunities that it brings after high school. So I took that opportunity, and I think it paid off well. I met some amazing people. The school is one of a kind as far as preparing kids for college. That's aside from just football. That's what was big for me. That was the reason why I decided to go to Boston College over, all the big football schools, because the education was there. Because football is not always going to be there. The education was there. That's what I was more worried about. But from a football standpoint, throughout high school, I did all 4 years were pretty solid for me. My breakout year was my junior year, where I won the Hanson Award. That was a big year for me.
Which is the best player on Long Island?
Suffolk County.
Suffolk County, okay.
Yeah, because I think Nassau has their own, the Thorpe. But that was big for me because my brother won it. My cousin Stacy won it. So it was like, I felt like a weight on my shoulders. And when I won the award, it was kind of lifted off. You know what I mean?
That was your junior year?
Yeah, my junior year.
When did your brother win? What grade was he in, do you know? It's just cool to one up.
I think he was a senior.
There you go.
There you go.
Something of that
Some
sort,
bragging
yeah.
rights.
Did you break any rushing records when you were at St. Anthony's?
It's been so long, I honestly don't remember.
You don't have to pretend.
I know I ran for my junior year. I ran for a little over 2,000 yards.
Wow.
I had a ton of touchdowns. But my junior year, it was so great because we had so much talent on the field that if you key on one guy, it leaves you vulnerable in other positions. And we had my close friend Naeem, who was also like a running back receiver hybrid type of guy who, they would have to key on him. They got to respect him because he's such a good player. And then, I would get the ball going in the other direction. And then what do you do at that point? We just had too much for people.
Wow.
And, that's I give all the credit to the coaches and the linemen and, the other players on the team.
And not to get too much into St. Anthony's talk, because I also went to St. Anthony's and graduated in '97 and played football. But Riker was still there when you were when you were there, right? So he just retired.
Yeah, great coach.
Who's the head coach now? Right? Does pregame speeches.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I haven't been there in a little while.
Sure.
What was the whole college process looking like? I know to you were saying that education was a big part of it, picking the best place for you. What was that like, kind of being filled with all kinds of people, colleges meeting with you, that whole process?
The biggest thing was to do what was going to make me happy. Because you got a lot of people in your ear. You got a lot of people telling you this and that. You should go to this college. You should go to that college. And everybody has different, ulterior motives. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to do what was going to make me happy. And I felt like BC was, the best place for me. It gave me the best of both worlds, ACC football and top-notch education. But when I got there, well, prior to me even getting there, my mom was diagnosed with Chiari syndrome. She had like some of her brain tissue stemmed into where her spinal nerves were supposed to be. So she had a lot of problems with that. She ended up having a brain surgery. So upon me going to BC, I kind of knew that maybe I'm gonna have to end up coming back home, because family was so important to me, and it was so important for my mother to be there to watch me play. And I didn't know how things were gonna go after the surgery. Things could have went south. So I just wanted to be. I decided that I wanted to be home for it. Whatever was gonna happen. And she couldn't travel, so I knew that she wasn't going to be able to come to my games, and that meant a lot to me. So that's why I had made the decision to transfer. It wasn't anything else. I loved the school, great coach, great players, great people, but it was the best thing for me to come back home.
And did it help you to have Stacy Bedell, your cousin, being the guy at Stony Brook too? Like to have your family, play alongside your cousin?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of taken under his wing a little bit. He was at Stony Brook for a few years. My brother played at Stony Brook, so I was familiar with the program. I was familiar with Coach Priori. So when I got there, I was already comfortable. I had to learn a new system, but it didn't take me much time because I had somebody, family to learn from.
Education was important to you, like you mentioned before, but at what point I'm going to be in the NFL? Was that always like in the back of your mind, like going into the college, or was it like a certain year in college that you're like, I could make it in the NFL?
I feel like the NFL or any major leagues for everybody, for every young kid, at first it's always going to be just a dream, something that you say you want to do it, but you don't really understand what you got to do, what you got to put in to get there. So then when you transition from middle school to high school, I still was like, it's a little up in the air, I don't quite understand the work I need to put in yet, because everybody goes to that stage where they're like, all right, maybe I got to work a little harder. And I reached that point like probably sophomore year of college. I'm like, all right, maybe if I work a little harder, this is something that I could really accomplish. So I ended up having a solid, junior year. And then after my junior year, I'm like, okay, Stacy graduated. Now it's going to be me and Don. Now it's my time to really put all I have out there, to these college scouts and whatnot. And that was when I was like, okay, we're going to really attack this. So then I had a few conversations with my parents. I'm like, okay, people are believing that I can do this. Friends and family, they're believing, and that played a huge part. It sparked like a flame under me. Everybody's pushing me. They're believing that I can do this. So then, the first couple games of senior year, 150-yard game, 140-yard game,
killing it,
190-yard game. So, all right, this is feeling like this is something that that I'm really, really meant to do. So then I'm like, okay, now we getting through the season. I'm 900 yards.
And you're playing in one of the most competitive conferences.
Very, very tough defensive conference. And not many people know that, but it's a tough defensive conference.
The Villanova game, for people that know, they were down 21-0 against one of the top teams. You guys came back. That was one of the best games college football I've ever seen. They were down 21-0. End up coming back and winning, and that was that was a top team right there.
One thing that nobody could ever take from a Stony Brook football team is that they never stop fighting. And if you go into halftime and you think just because you're up 14 or 21 points that you won the game, you're crazy, because that's just not what Coach P is about. We have warriors. We had warriors at Stony Brook, so it didn't feel like we were down 21-0. We knew we had to make adjustments, but it didn't feel like we were down 21-0. So.
And Stony Brook football over the last decade or so, you could see the growth in the program. You have guys that made it to the NFL. Will Tye, the most notable, been successful, playing for the Giants, the Jets. I think he's in Philadelphia now. When you transferred to Stony Brook, did you see some of these other guys made it to the NFL? This is a real possibility for me.
Yeah. I definitely knew that transferring wouldn't hurt my chances. Because it doesn't matter where you are. If you ball, you ball, and they're gonna find you. So I wasn't worried. I wasn't worried about that so much. It's actually funny you bring up Will Tye. Will's first agent, who helped him get on the Giants and whatnot, is my agent now.
Oh, awesome.
So
give him a shout out.
Yeah, Dwayne Upton. Yeah, Upton Sports. Yep. But everything just feels right now, for real.
Yeah, that program really got a shot in the arm too when Hofstra stopped their football program, and a couple guys like Miguel Mason from Hofstra and a couple other guys went over there, and it seems like Stony Brook's been playing really competitive football ever since.
Yeah.
Do you get advice from these guys that made it to the NFL, like Ty and Mason who bounced around a little bit, and Victor Ochi and all those guys? Or
not really.
No?
I mean, honestly, I gained all my wisdom from my brother. That was a source that I knew I had to use, because my brother was only inches away from being in the league. Wow. It was just one too many injuries, or just wrong place, wrong time type of thing. And so he was able to tell me everything that he knew he shouldn't do, that I shouldn't have did, that I shouldn't do, or should have did that I need to do. And that is what helped me, slither around those obstacles that I would have hit if I made the same mistake he made.
And I'm going to pump you up a little bit here. I mean, you passed the eye test. You're 6'2", 220, 230, right?
240 right now.
240, but you run a 4.3 or around there, right?
I've been clocking around low 4.4s, 4.3s.
And you can bench, I assume, in the
30 plus.
With 30 plus, you passed the eye test. You put up nearly 1,000 yards. What else do NFL teams need to see for you to make it?
They're just going to see that my mind is different. I'm wired differently than a lot of people. I'm real focused. This is what I want, and this is what I'm going to go get. Nothing else really matters. And that's what they're gonna feel when they're around me. If there's one thing that people always tell me when I'm in the workplace is that I'm just crazy focused.
You're locked in.
Yeah.
And do you like the NFL comparison? Like, would you compare yourself to any of these guys that are killing it now or anything like that?
Well, when I first like Henry said, when I first got the training, the goal was to put up Saquon numbers because he was the closest thing to me in size wise. He's what, 6 foot 230. Closest thing to me size wise that can move that size the way I can move the size. So that was the goal was to put up Saquon numbers. So if I was gonna compare myself to anybody, it would probably be him.
Yeah, that's not a bad comparison.
Little bit different, little bit of a different playing style on the field, but as far as tangibles and measurements.
Every game that I've watched you play, Jordan, I don't remember one time where you got hit and you fell backwards.
Yeah.
Every time you hit, you fall forward 1, 2, 3 yards.
Ever since I was a little kid, my dad told me to never get put on my back when playing football. Always fall forward. It doesn't even matter if you get 1 yard. If you fall forward, they're gonna feel it, and then you keep doing that over and over and over again.
I mean,
there's gonna be linebackers that don't want to tackle you come third quarter.
When he gets hit, I feel like those guys felt it more than he did.
Yeah.
Popped right back up.
The motive is to always fall forward.
The difference between, a lot of people play high school football. Mike, we both played. What was the biggest difference between playing college ball and in high school? I assume
guys like us in high school.
Yeah, you're hitting guys like us, 5'8" and 6 foot and string bean.
I lost some weight.
I'm just kidding. But seriously, what was what is the biggest transition?
Honestly, it had to be the schedule. It's real taxing.
Yeah.
and you gotta adjust to it fast. I reported in May, I think. Right after I graduated, I reported. And I had to be ready for the workouts. I had to be ready for the class schedule. And you don't get much time to yourself. When I was getting back to my room at probably like 6 o'clock at night, and at that point I'm ready for bed already. So I think it's the schedule. You got to be ready for to change your work ethic. Your work ethic in high school is not going to be enough for college. Yeah. You got to understand that it has to be up the level because now the competition is nuts.
And you went to 2 colleges that are known for their academics. Stony Brook University, one of the premier schools as far as medicine and sciences and math, and Boston College, an elite program too. So it's like you weren't going to easy classes.
Yeah, no. Both schools were very, very tough. But both schools did a tremendous job of helping out their athletes when it came to if they needed help in the classroom. So, they made it easy. Honestly, Stony Brook did a very good job of it.
Yeah, the hardest thing in college is self-discipline because a lot of this stuff's on you now. No one's waking up in the morning.
And you want to have a social life. You want to go out, and it's all about the time management. And whatever matters the most to you gotta come first. And whatever's gonna make you a better person gotta come first. You can't. It's a big priority thing in college.
Now let me ask you, since I lived in Bellport for so long, are there still some hard feelings around town that you have to St. Anthony's?
No, you know what? I'm getting so much love now that I don't think it matters anymore.
Yeah.
And I do such a good job of making sure people know where I'm from. Even when I left to go to St. Anthony's, I made sure people didn't forget where I came from, and I didn't forget where I came from. I come from the side of Bellport that's a low income community. It's funny. It's like that train track by Montauk. Yeah. One side is doing all right, and then the other side is like as soon as you cross the tracks, it's a little bit more run down. You're like you're in a different place.
And it's crazy because if you go even further and you cross South Country, then it's like Hamptons.
Yeah.
It's like everything all together in one spot, which makes it kind of unique place in that respect.
And I'm from the area that is the rundown area. It's a low income community, and I'm gonna spend a lot of time trying to change that and make life easier or better for people. Where I come from.
What was it like growing up in Bellport? What do you love about it now?
Like I said in a lot of my other interviews, I've walked outside in the morning to caution tape. I've heard gunshots. I've been around all that type of stuff. But I was fortunate enough to have parents that kept me away from it. Even though I was seeing it, I knew what was right from wrong, and you know, a lot of these kids they're growing up without, you know, any figures, you know, so, you know, definitely a big thanks to my parents for doing what they were supposed to do.
And especially like the national audience of people, you know, when they think of Long Island, they think of, you know, suburbs, you know, everything's nice.
Gold Coast and Nassau.
Yeah. They're not thinking of like there's
coast.
areas out there that there's low income and they think that things kind of easy living out here, but it's not.
Exactly. And like there's probably people who probably don't think that I ever struggled a day in my life.
Yeah.
Just because,
He lived by the water. He lived by the Hamptons.
You know, they hear Bellport. You know, there's a port of Bellport. You know, Hamptons is only 30 minutes away.
Exactly.
You know, so and then, you know, people forget that just because a player is successful in a sport doesn't mean that he's not dealing with you know, things outside of, you know, when the lights go down and he goes back home, you don't know what he's going home to. Just because he's successful in the field doesn't mean that his life is, you know, miraculous. Like there's still other trials and tribulations outside of the sport, and you know, I feel like now since I'm becoming, you know, so blessed to be able to take this big step, you know, and maybe get a contract, I gotta be able to, you know, give these kids insight on, you know, how to push through circumstances like that.
How would you compare Bellport now to, you know, your area, Bellport, North Bellport? Even though if you go further, it becomes Bellport again, which I was weird.
Yeah.
How would you compare the area now to when you were growing up? I know they've since built the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, things have calmed down a lot.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely not as much of a you know, crime or violence rate. You know, there's still some things, but it's definitely not as bad as it used to be when I was growing up, and that's big. And I don't know if people realize that it's not as bad as it used to be, you know, because so accustomed to it that you may not, and you still live, if you've been living there for the past 10, 15 years, you know, it's just like when you see somebody that may be losing weight. If you see the person every day, or you see yourself in the mirror every day, you know, you might not realize how much weight you're losing. Yeah. And it's kind of, since you're in all this turmoil and you've been here for 10, 15 years, you might not realize that things are changing, but things are definitely getting better.
Yeah, that whole intersection too. They're rebuilding where the gas station is, and they rebuilt the shopping center. I know the Hollow Dollar had to move, and that was kind of controversial.
It's actually crazy because I was away for 2 months. I was in Jersey for 2 months. I didn't come home at all. I had no haircut. I was looking all crazy.
Just left the barbershop.
Just left the barbershop. I needed it bad, but you know, that gas station before I left was still up there.
Yeah.
And now it's under construction. I asked Henry on the way here. I said, "What's going on?" None of that was going on before I left here. So
yeah, I think they're beautifying it. They're building a waterfall. I think there's gonna be Dunkin' Donuts there.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been some visual improvements too, and hopefully if they can get sewers down Montauk Highway, they can start developing some of those old vacant commercial properties that have been.
I definitely want to find out, you know, whoever's behind it, you know, and do some type of partnership where I could, you know, stick my hand in it, because, you know, I definitely want to feel like I gave back.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, probably one of the best things you could do is like join these like civic groups, you know. Yeah. You know, they're the ones that go to town hall and they speak out in favor of projects and things like that they feel is good, or speak out against because they feel it's bad for their community. That's a good way to go.
Yeah, and any program or anything that you're doing in the local area, you always can reach out to us and we'll promote you guys. We'll write about it and we'll be there taking photos or everything we could do
for
too.
Sure, I appreciate that. You know, because it's big. It's so big because, you know, the biggest difference of me growing up, but compared to other kids, was me having, you know, the figures in front of me. I had my brother to watch. I had my parents who were very hard on me. You know, and every kid doesn't have that. So if somebody from the community is reaching out to them, like somebody who made it is reaching out to them saying, you can do this. And let's not get it twisted. Bellport has had some very, very talented people in every aspect of sports and entertainment. Some very, very talented people that just didn't make it because they just didn't have the guidance that they needed. And I don't want that to continue to be the factor of why kids don't make it.
So you end up playing out in San Diego. You're gonna move your life to California. You're gonna keep your ties in Bellport. Or
I don't know if I'll ever leave Bellport. I really don't. You know, even if I have the money, you know, I might just get a house built here and stay here. I'm so comfortable with Bellport. You know,
and San Diego doesn't even have a team anymore.
I was in Jersey for 2 months, and I just kept thinking about home. I wasn't homesick. I just kept thinking about home, how different things are. You know, and that's just a state away. You know.
Are you gonna have a huge house on the water? Or are you just gonna have the biggest house in North Bellport? What's the goal there?
I mean, I might live kind of subtle. I'll give my mom the big house. I might live kind of subtle. You know?
So let's let the NFL scouts, whoever out there, let them know, what were you up to in New Jersey for the 2 months? I know you were training, but could you get into like what was the day to day like? You know, how were you grinding?
So I trained 3 times a day.
Wow.
I was speed training to start my day, and then I was weight training, and then I was doing a lot of maintenance work, which the maintenance work was probably the longest thing about it, because you know you got to stay healthy while you're training. If you can't stay healthy, you can't train.
So what is that, like ice baths, yoga, or stretching?
A lot of stretching, you know, a lot of soft tissue, a lot of mobility, a lot of stretching, flexibility is probably the biggest key to getting better. Yeah. So, and there was a lot of that, and you know, my trainer Scott Palatos and Parabolic did an amazing job. Like I always say, it's easy to make somebody better who has a lot of room to improve. But can you take somebody who may not have that much room to improve? He's almost peaking. Can you take him to that next step? Can you make somebody who's good great? That's what a great trainer is. Mm-hmm. Somebody who can make somebody who's good great. And that's what they did. They pushed me past the limit that I didn't know that I could get past.
Awesome.
Do you play a little bit with a chip on the shoulder because you weren't invited to the NFL Combine, right? You weren't.
No, I wasn't.
Now that you're pro day and like guys already passed on you by not inviting you to the Combine, so do you have that chip on your shoulder right now?
I feel like I've always had it. You know, I'm from Long Island.
Yeah.
You know, Long Island is not Texas.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, it's not. It's
a
not
handful
Texas.
of guys really made it.
It's not Texas football. You know, so I feel like I've always had a chip on my shoulder. You know, when I first started football, because Long Island just doesn't get that spotlight. You know, so I'm still carrying the same chip from when I first started football. You know, so but tomorrow they'll see, you know, what I have to offer, and I'm gonna give them the best I can give them.
Obviously, the ultimate goal is to make it to the NFL and to, you know, whatever team it may be. Mm-hmm. But with these other leagues popping up nowadays, made any thought into the Alliance of American Football League, the new XFL that's coming out? Like, what were you thinking when these leagues are coming up now, and how popular they seem to be?
I think they're doing an amazing job with them. You know, me myself, I'm so focused on NFL that, and I believe so much that I could do it, that's all I've really been worried about, to be honest with you. But I have checked out some of these other leagues, and they're doing an amazing job.
Awesome. As far as the NFL scouts and stuff go, people have contacted you, like say, we're interested. How does that process go?
A lot of it goes through my agent. You know,
Okay.
I really didn't try to worry too much about it while I was training. You know, because it gives you, it puts some noise in your head, and you know, and good or bad, you know, it could either give you a big head or not, or if you're not getting any calls, then it could hurt you.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't, you know, focused on it. I probably won't know much till after pro day.
Yeah.
And I don't want to know anything till after pro day, to be honest with you.
The Giants and the Jets, they had private workouts when you were invited to, something like that, right? Or
I got invited so far to the Giants private workout. You know, hopefully you get the Jets after pro day.
Okay.
That's usually when you get, you know, most of your private workouts. You know, so if they like what they see, they usually bring you in and, you know, work you out.
And it's a weird kind of process of kind of making it to the NFL, right? They have the mini camps and they have all kinds of training camps. I know your cousin Stacy had a 3-day mini camp invite to San Francisco. So there's all different ways to kind of get your looks in, right?
It depends. It basically depends on, you know, what kind of contract you get. You know, if you get drafted, if you don't get drafted, if you're a priority free agent, all that matters. You know, that's what determines your length, the length you're given. And obviously you can push that length, but depending on your contract and you know when you get drafted, that determines, you know, how much leeway you have, how much mistakes you can make, even though, you know, the goal is to not make any mistakes, but you know, it's all determined by that.
So you're one of 9 guys that are going to be participating in the pro day tomorrow. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the other guys that you think that will probably shine too? Some of your teammates?
Don Leontine will do well. You know, he's a workhorse. You know, that's just what he does. He just works hard.
Is he a Pat Med? Did he go to Patrick Medford? Or?
He is from Patrick Medford. I think he went to Stony Brook School.
Okay.
Yeah. We got a guy, Marshall Ellick, that's going to do well. My close friend, Juju Wingate, who I was training with in Jersey. You know, so I've been with him for the past 2 months. I know what he's capable of. He's going to put up big
And he
numbers.
had his second half of the season he went off.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. And it was kind of just, Juju was kind of just like like a bubble just waiting to pop. It was gonna happen eventually. You know, he's just too much of a talent. But like I said, I've trained with him for the past 2 months, and he's gonna put up amazing numbers.
How's Jordan doing with the brand?
He's doing well. He's doing well. He's doing well. Yeah.
So Jordan, anything you want to leave off with? Let people know about you that they may not know we haven't covered.
I've done so many interviews and stories in the past like few weeks, but I just want to continue to tell people that I'm gonna spread love. That's just what I do. I'm a God-fearing man. I believe that we're all here to spread love and help one another. So my hand is always going to be out there to my hand is always going to be reached out there for help.
Awesome. And Jordan, you got our support too here at GreaterLongIsland.com. I mean, we covered you like we said before with our Port Jeff website, and anything that you're doing will help support what you guys are, what you're up to. And thank you for joining us and telling us your story.
Yep, thanks for having me.
We look forward to following up too. Let us know about the your bench press and the numbers that you raise, and we can let people know about that.
Yeah, I'll definitely have either Henry or my manager Evan shoot that information over to you.
Remind him one more time.
As soon as I get it.
Remind him one more time.
It's gonna be 30 plus.
30 plus.
Like I said, the record's 34. I'm going for 35 or better.
The record's 34 by running back.
Yeah, by running back.
Was it Saquon?
Alex Barnes this year from K-State.
Okay.
I think he put up 34 reps. So my goal was 35 or better.
All right, cool. So I wasn't going to ask you how many you've done because I want to find out in person or find out when the news breaks.
Yeah.
So all right, so we'll find out. We'll find out.
Don't spoil it.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. But Jordan, thanks again for joining us. This is an awesome edition of the 495 podcast, and anyone that's listening and enjoys our podcast, please rate, comment, subscribe. We're on Apple iTunes, we're on Spotify, and that's it. So thanks again, Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.
I've ever felt before. In my current state and in these days of war, we must grow together or the end is near. Thicken up your skin and loosen up your fears. I've been waiting through my limitations, choosing to move.